Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
Hello, before we go to the episode, just to let you know there are some minor plot spoilers for Can You Ever Forgive Me before we get to Spoiler Street. So after we've seen the movie, but before Spoiler Street. And also there's a lot of colourful language. Hi, it's Dave here and I'm with my wife Cathy.
Hello.
And you're listening to the Cinemile where we walk home from the movies. Today we've got a very special guest, Mr. Craig Parkinson. Hello, Craig.
Hello, Dave.
How are you?
I'm cracking.
Listen
I'm
to
great.
that voice.
Yeah.
I'm really good.
You've got such a good podcast voice.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You don't like compliments, do you?
I don't
I'll
like
ease
compliments.
it back. I'll ease off with the compliments. So Craig is an actor and podcaster from the Two Shot podcast. If anybody has not heard that, go and wait till the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Listen to all of this,
And then hit subscribe.
and
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
go subscribe to that because I'm pretty sure if you like this, you're gonna like that. So for anyone, do you want to explain to our listeners if anyone doesn't know what the Two Shot podcast? Give us your elevator pitch.
Oh, God, I don't have a pitch.
We're not in an
That's
elevator.
terrible.
We're in a bar.
We're in a bar.
Give us your bar pitch.
The
Okay,
bar
so
pitch.
we are podcast executives,
Yeah, go
and
on.
you're pitching your new podcast to us. We're in a bar. We've got all the cash, and you say you've got one. I've only got 2 minutes because I've got to go. I've got a very
Okay.
important meeting, Craig. Come on, time is money.
Me too. I've got 30 seconds. I'll tell you. Organic human stories with creatives, actors, musicians, poets, artists, writers, nice people not pitching things and talking about their jobs, just talking about the human spirit.
Right, I'm going to stop you there, Craig.
Okay.
I'm in.
Oh, great.
Great.
I'm going to put my money on the table right now.
Thank you very much,
I'll
Dave.
take 2 seasons.
Good.
Right?
Dave,
That's a
Dave
lot of-
tends
that-
to take these bits too
You
far.
want
now.
to? You want to end the bit now?
Basically,
Okay.
predominantly why I think our audience will be interested in is Craig's an actor. You may or may not know him, but he's been in Line of Duty, playing Dot. And he's been in Bandersnatch playing the dad. Don't know the name of the character.
Stefan's dad.
Peter.
Peter, thank you. So essentially he's an actor, but he's primarily, but not always, interviewing other actors, right?
You did it 20 years, Cathy. 21 years.
21
Don't
years.
pick out 2 jobs.
I'm picking out the 2 most important ones. He was in Misfits as well, which is awesome.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically he's interesting, really interesting to listen to an actor interviewing another actor. My favourite episode is the Jodie Comer one, who is the star of Killing Eve. Villanelle herself, who I did not know was from Liverpool until I listened to that episode.
So many people didn't. I love that so many people didn't.
It was like, oh, she doesn't sound like what I thought she sounded like, and it's so cool because you're chatting to her kind of, I get at this key moment in her career where she's in her like mid-20s, she's just kicking off. Like Killing Eve is just a stratospheric thing for her.
Yeah,
and you've caught her
around the world.
yeah, and you've caught this like key kind of caught her at this key pivotal moment in her career, and I really recommend anyone listen to that episode. It's so cool.
Her first and only podcast
Oh wow!
that she's ever done.
I
do like a podcast exclusive.
Really good exclusive.
Not to sound like a journo.
Yeah. And we're just so excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Absolutely thrilled to be on. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
know
Thanks
full
very
well that we just discussed this before we started the intro about past favourite episodes of yours.
We've had a big old love in here
Big
for a
old
while.
love in.
We're a couple of drinks in,
Couple of drinks in,
so
yeah. At least.
apologies.
Nice.
We've got an
I
edge
mean,
on
I'm
us.
such a lightweight, and we were at the British Podcast Awards last year. We just went for fun because we like podcast things, and we saw Craig there winning Best Culture Podcast for Two Shot. And I was like, Dave, Dot from Line of Duty has a podcast. We're so excited. So yeah, anyway, thank you for coming on.
So,
And
we are going to go see a
what
movie.
What are we going to see?
Oh yeah, we're going to go
Yeah.
and see.
What are we seeing, Craig?
We're going to go see E.Grant and Melissa McCarthy in
Can you
Can You
forgive me?
Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is great because Cathy didn't remember the name of the movie
So you get
either.
this, that's the right title.
Yeah. It's a
Isn't
very
it?
unmemorable title, though. I keep forgetting it. Honestly, I keep forgetting the title.
I love unmemorable titles. Don't spoon feed the audience.
No,
Just
true.
let's. And you know what? I haven't seen a trailer. I know very little about it, but I love those two. Richard E.Grant especially.
He's amazing, yeah.
So
And his reaction to this whole
don't
Oscar nomination.
get me started on
best.
that.
So charming.
He's so sweet.
He's a gentleman, an absolute gentleman, and he should win. Before I've even seen the film, he should win just for that.
Just give it to him.
But like you don't get that level of like just childlike enthusiasm from any like award nominated actor. Do you? I mean,
No.
you just don't.
No, you don't.
You usually get this very pull face. I mean, great.
It's an honour to
such
be
an
nominated.
honour to be nominated. It's like he was literally like that
He was
video
like,
of him
fuck yeah.
standing outside that apartment
But
jumping around.
He is, what is he, 61, 62? He's never been nominated or
surprised me in
won
the first place.
for anything. Anything.
That's amazing.
And before all the Oscar buzz and all the awards buzz, I remember him tweeting that he said, I've just done this film and the process and the people I've worked with has changed me as a person and changed my career. So before all that, so he's got that already. So he's winning. He's won already.
He just meant from a craft perspective,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And I saw him tweeting something about how he was crediting some of this to the fact that he'd been cast in Girls, remember the HBO series?
Well, it leaps on from there because I think it was the same casting director from
interesting.
Girls that went, you know who you need? Fucking
Funny.
Richard E. Grant.
Because to me, because I loved Girls, I was such a fan of it, and when Richard E. Grant was in Girls, I was like, how did they get him? But funnily enough, from his perspective, that was a big coup to get in that show, and it's interesting to even an actor as prestigious as him, sometimes you just need the right gig on the right network, and like things can take off. So yeah, we wanted Craig on this podcast because on this episode specifically, because we want to talk about this is getting such kind of accolades for the acting, and in particular it's quite interesting to see Melissa McCarthy. I've never seen her in a serious role, bar if you could count the Gilmore Girls, which I don't think you can. I know she was Oscar nominated before for Bridesmaid, which is weird, right? Because that's like a terrible movie.
Well, it's just so funny that it always baffles me and upsets me at times that comedy's overlooked in awards seasons.
The Golden Globes kind of acknowledge them but it's a separate category.
Separate category.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's like very different.
Well,
Comedies and musicals are
musical
to be
and
treated
comedy.
seriously.
Yeah, weird.
And they're such different genres as well.
But I mean, Melissa McCarthy's really good, but like Bridesmaid, for whatever reason, became a darling that year because it was nominated for Best Script as well, and it was just interesting that it was nominated for that stuff. But I'm so excited to see her in a leading serious role because, and this sounds really mean, but for me, Melissa McCarthy,
mean, Cathy, don't be mean.
she's become a bit of a. For me, she's a bit of a Jason Bateman, where when she's in a movie, it's not a sign of quality at this point. It's not a sign of a good movie, usually, because she picks bad comedies. And so does Jason Bateman, and I'm specifically referencing them because they were in a movie together last year that I thought, I can't watch it under any good
Sometimes
conscience.
I think if you come out of the traps like Melissa McCarthy did in Bridesmaids, and it was this big storm and everybody was talking about it, and she was brilliant
Yeah,
in it.
she's really good.
And then literally everybody goes, she was amazing in that. Right, hand her that script, hand her that, and you're overwhelmed
Yeah.
with certain things.
And they're just all the same movie. They're
Well,
all
I
gross
can't,
out.
You know, I don't particularly like talking about myself that much in my career, but this is a link that when I was doing like a certain sort of like villain on the telly, the amount of villain scripts that I got, so I'm like, oh fucking, do me a favour, please. I can't recreate.
Greg, you do give good villain though.
I know, but the thing is, I'm not like that. I'm actually all right.
No, guys, he's terrifying.
Terrifying.
I've been slowly edging away from him this
Well,
whole
it's
time.
usually because our podcast we walk home from the movie, so we'll do a walk after this for the review. But I'm a bit concerned about the walk because Craig is so much taller than us. Logistically,
Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, my arm's gonna be sore
But
after.
there's something about a very tall person.
I'll hold the mic.
But a very tall person can often make a very good villain because they can be physically intimidating.
I know, but I'm like 6'4" and like skinny. I'm not like a big bruiser.
But anyway, and I love Melissa McCarthy. So my roundabout way of saying was, I'm really pleased that she's in this because I didn't like to see her in all those movies that weren't doing very well and that weren't particularly good.
I think it's safe to say we're all pretty excited to see this, right?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Can't wait. And we're in Picture House Central in the lovely members bar drinking beer at like 1 o'clock on a Saturday, so I couldn't be happier.
Speaking of 1 o'clock, probably time to go in there. Craig, what sort of cinema snack guy are you? Talk us through your cinema habits.
I'm a non-snack.
Non-snack guy?
Non-snack.
Man
Just
after
like
my
Dave.
own heart.
Not after my heart.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Sometimes a coffee for me.
Obviously, phone off.
Yeah.
Focus on the screen. And I don't really like to sit next to people.
Oh, cool.
You
You
don't
can sit next to us.
Which is
You don't have to sit
it's a
next
right
to us.
fucking nightmare because I'm on this podcast.
And also,
Although saying that, when I saw Roma at the Curzon Soho in December and it was packed out, I was sat next to everybody. Obviously, because it was chock-a-block, but the focus was just on the screen, and it was like pure cinema. It was quite.
worth it, yeah.
It was like going back to when I saw Star Wars or
Oh, wow.
Return of the Jedi. It was lovely. It was a real communal feeling. It was lovely.
yeah, that's what I love about cinema. You don't, particularly when the audience is with the movie.
Yeah.
But there's got to be respect there from the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for Roma, I would imagine intrinsically would have a very respectful audience anyway, right? I would hope they
but-
really want to see it because they could have just seen it for free on Netflix.
I don't know, but I've
Yeah.
seen How to Train Your Dragon at the cinema, and there's total respect there
Okay,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. And I went this morning. I was like so excited about you coming on, right? And I've been up since 5 o'clock because of a baby.
Because I was you were excited. You were up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No, okay.
Jesus,
No, it's
Cathy,
like-
come
it's
on
like
now.
Christmas.
I wasn't
She was like,
excited.
"Craig's
I wasn't
I'm so
excited.
sorry. I'm so
I
disappointed.
wasn't up at 5 o'clock because I was that excited, but I was up really early and I was listening to your podcast.
'Cause we have a baby.
As my prep. And so first of all, I have to say that Greg's podcast has like a 30-second intro music that our baby's obsessed with. So every time, the first time the music came on, he started dancing. So I kept rewinding it and over and over and over he danced to it. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to make a video and show Craig later. And then I went to take a video. He stopped. Never danced. Never danced again. But secondly, I was like, this is like 8 o'clock this morning. I was like, oh my God, what if the movie sold out? This would be so mortifying. We'd have met up. And I went to book the seats.
So have we got tickets?
Yeah, but I booked the only 3 booked seats. Nobody else had booked a seat.
All right, okay.
So my point is, you actually probably don't have to sit with us.
No,
I
I
think the
will. I
cinema's
will.
gonna be
I
empty.
will.
You can
I
have
will.
a few buffer seats if you
No,
like.
no. We should all sit together and experience it.
Okay, but it was very like when I went after that, my tizzy of booking them and realised I was the only person who'd booked seats. I was like, right, I think it's fine. I don't think that many people are desperate to see this movie at 1 o'clock on a Saturday.
I am.
But yeah, good theme music
Really
though.
looking. Oh, thank you.
And it was funny because I went on then because I'm always telling people they need to leave iTunes. If you like a podcast, right, you go on iTunes and you leave it a review because it's all you have to do and it's free. So I finally went on to leave you a review today, and it made me laugh because all the reviews are like, Craig's got an amazing voice. One person said I
Oh,
listened to
you do
Craig
though.
going to sleep, but then
I don't want
Wait.
to fall asleep. That's terrible.
Wait, that person said that they listened to Craig falling asleep.
they listened to Craig to fall asleep because his voice is so nice. And then I read
Not that
someone
they were
else-
listening to Craig falling asleep.
They never listen to an episode. They get like 10 minutes in and they go, right, I'm knackered now. Right, great.
But then one person wrote, I really don't like the theme music, they need to sort it out. So then I counterbalance that by saying, my toddler loves your theme music. So there you go, that's my review.
Right.
There was one person that said they didn't like the theme music.
There you go. And you'll never forgive. I don't forgive
Never
iTunes.
read your own reviews.
No, somebody sent it me and went, they don't like your theme music. I went, this thing's very good.
Oscar really
The thing
likes
is, my producer, Thomas Griffin, sorted that music out. And I gave him a template of what I wanted. And it was something like left field, like a left field track. And I gave him this track and I went, I want something like this, but not like that. And he went, what about this? And I went, fucking perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Oh, we
Oh,
swear
I've
all the
just-
time.
It's too late.
Just done it. No, I know you do. I
Yeah.
don't know why I asked that.
Yeah.
I hate it when on podcasts people go, can I swear? Yeah, of course you can swear. It's a fucking free medium.
If anything, you're not swearing enough.
We just put explicit warnings on every episode. There was one episode that where I accidentally, and I shouldn't have said it, because some people get really offended. I see you next Tuesday. So we took that one out. That's the only one we've ever taken out.
No, I just, look.
People in England don't mind that word.
Well, fuck them.
Yeah.
And they're a bunch of cunts. Because it's a great word. It's
a great word.
It's my wife's favourite word.
I
I think that's the perfect note to go to the cinema.
Can we better go and
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
this film?
Let's go do
Otherwise,
it.
we're just going to get drunk.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.
I'm actually already drunk.
Quite by accident, I find myself in a rather criminal position.
What criminal activity could possibly involve it, except a crime of fashion, of course?
I'm embellishing literary letters by prominent writers. I love his writing. Particularly clever, don't you think? Caustic wit.
This is quite something. These are wonderful.
I thought so too.
Name your price.
You were looking at 1 month's rent.
What are we going to do? Gamble? Shop? Drink?
Ms. Israel, I have a couple of questions regarding the last letter I purchased.
Uh-oh.
What seems to be the problem?
People are on alert. Your name's been put on a list.
On a list. They're literary treasures. One of a kind. It's my writing.
You're impersonating other people. Nobody's buying Lee Israel letters.
All right.
I fucking love that film.
Yeah?
I
Big
loved
fan.
it.
Big
I
fan.
loved it. I mean, just the sadness I really loved. And you know, those two lost souls coming together and what came out of the desperation. Something good come out of it. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. They're not very likable people either.
No, but that's the thing.
That's what made it interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
You're sort of your feelings towards them. It's kind of like pity wrapped up in fascination, and I think you summed it up nicely. Lost souls. They've almost like both slipped through the cracks in society. Like they haven't been able to sort of keep a grip. She's lost relevance.
But she's lost touch with sort of humanity in a way. She had no connection with anybody apart from her cat.
Yeah.
You know, even her agent was going, fucking, just don't talk to me. Cathy, you're being very quiet about this film so far.
Cathy,
You
what did
hated
you
it,
think?
didn't you?
No, I loved it. I truly, truly loved it, and it's just exactly what I want from a movie, which is like a small story about interesting people, beautifully directed and incredibly well acted. I mean, I think Melissa McCarthy and...
Oh my God, she was
so
I hate
great.
to use the word a revelation because it's such a criticky thing to do, and I'm not a critic, but like that was
Heroic.
it was like, and also I'm going to use another word now which I hate, transformative. But she was unbelievable.
Here's another cliche.
Go on.
She disappeared into the role.
Well, like we were talking about Bridesmaids earlier, and I mean, come on, I just think like her and Richard E.Grant together, I mean, they're two incredible actors, but you come away from that movie thinking, if they're not really good friends in real life, they're better actors than I'm giving them credit for, because their chemistry was incredible.
It was absolutely fantastic, their chemistry, but also just with regards to her and him as well, there was zero vanity about the performances, especially with her. I mean, she was at the bottom rung of the ladder. She was the character. She had nothing. When they were cleaning up that flat and all the cat poo was under the bed, I mean, this was a woman living in squalor. Yeah. She had nothing.
It was interesting though, because they're like, she's obviously really hard up for money and she's horrible to everyone, and Melissa McCarthy did quite a feat of making that character quite endearing, who was absolutely horrible. But also I thought, you know what, this always happens with American movies. They're positing that she's like really poor and all the rest of it, and yet she lives in a flat bigger than our house.
No, very. I lived in New York for 6 months, and we took our cat from London to New York, and our flat was tiny. I mean, that was a very
You lived that. You lived what the Melissa
our
McCarthy.
kitchen was this. I cooked a Christmas dinner in our kitchen, and like you move from one side to take the turkey out, then you had to. It's not very good for a podcast. I'm physically doing something.
I really enjoyed it.
The people of Chinatown are loving this.
But yeah, anyway, so aside, I was like, that's enormous. But yeah, and I love that they referenced Nora Ephron, and they were talking about writers, and it was also, I think, set in the early 90s, but had the vibe of a 90s movie. You know, movies used to be just...
I thought it was the 80s.
Was it? I couldn't tell.
91,
1991.
That's when it started.
And it was just like, it was exactly like the movies from that era I love, where you've good talent, good writing, a good story, small budget, and it can become a beautiful thing. And I just wish more movies were made like that.
But you know what I loved as well was there was, with Melissa McCarthy's character, there was a bit of hope there with and also the supporting cast were fucking incredible.
Yeah.
There
wasn't a weak link there.
The woman in the bookseller.
Oh God, yeah.
And that was like a possible friendship, a possible love interest. And it was like, there's a bit of hope there. And she pushed it aside and she didn't have it in her life. So she was blocking everybody from coming into her life. And it was kind of heartbreaking. It really broke me.
Yeah. She was literally shutting herself off from the world.
Absolutely.
It was, everything that she had, the situation she found herself in was entirely of her own making, which made it even more sort of profoundly sad.
Yeah.
And yet we laughed a lot. Like, it's a funny movie.
Oh, there was a lot of laughter, wasn't there?
And what about do you know where we're going, Craig?
Yes, I know where we're going. Carry on, follow me.
Okay, Craig.
I don't even live in London, but I know where I'm going.
You know London better than we do.
We don't know it at all.
Don't worry, mind that taxi.
And what about Richard E.Grant then? What do you make of him in it?
I thought it was incredible.
He's delightful, wasn't he?
Yeah. And the fact that he was having so much fun in that part, but also I found him, again, mirroring Melissa McCarthy's character. There was such desperation and sadness, and they were both such lost souls that came together.
They weren't kind of mirrors of each other, like you said.
Well, they were, but they were absolute mirrors, but again, polar opposites at the same time.
And that's why opposites attract.
And he just lit the screen up, didn't he? Every scene, like, I thought if he wasn't opposite her, he'd be stealing the movie, but she can hold her own with him. But he's too bright a spark. He will take the light from any scene he's in, right?
But you see, the thing is, his character, Jack Hawk, was putting on this air of flamboyancy and everything's fabulous, whereas everything is absolutely desperate.
Yeah.
He had absolutely nothing, but he was putting on the airs and graces of that he had everything, and everything was beautiful.
He was as much a fraud as she was.
Absolutely.
In many ways.
He was a fraud to himself.
Well, exactly. He was, and I think
Should we go to Spoiler Street?
Yeah, I guess.
It's real life. It's based on a book that. Based on what
which
happened.
I now want to read.
I know, I want to read it
book.
too, yeah. I want to read her writing and see how she writes.
So spoilers now for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Right. Spoilers.
This is Spoiler Street. It's in the centre of London.
Literally,
there's a Spoiler Street
in
every town.
The green man. It's Spoiler Street.
Yeah, I want to read how she writes. So first of all, this movie made me embarrassed that I've never read anything by Dorothy Parker, because I felt very ignorant, as she was referenced a lot in the movie.
I didn't even recognise a lot of the writers' names. I got to say, I felt really like an ignoramus.
Yeah.
But I'm not very familiar with. The only name I recognised was Tom Clancy, and he was the one.
He was the one being derided.
Derided.
No one's read any Tom Clancy. Come on now.
Oh, I have. It's pretty dreadful.
But I always love things around the literary world anyway, and like the craft of writing, and I really love how this was directed as well. And it's a funny thing because this director has only directed one other feature movie, which was The Diary of a Teenage Girl a couple of years ago, which was an amazing movie.
Which I still haven't seen.
Really
it's a really good movie.
But the thing is, I've got it.
Oh, really?
I've got it on DVD, but I've never
Still in the cellophane?
Because it's on DVD.
No, it's not in the cellophane. I did open it up just to check the disc was in there. Let's go down here, be quieter.
Rose Street, okay. And then it's funny because there's been a lot of contention this year over the fact that no female directors have been nominated for an Oscar. Yet this movie is 2 lead actors are nominated, and it's a brilliant movie, and it does make you think, well, that's a bit funny, isn't it?
Well, I think it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is... I couldn't have... apart from a Sunday afternoon, to go to the cinema on a Saturday afternoon, that is a perfect afternoon film.
Perfect, and I love, there's a couple of scenes, where you know what's coming up next, but they're handled so nicely. Like she says to him, "Don't smoke and don't get in my bed," and you just know the next scene is going to be him smoking in her bed, and yet you can't wait for it.
I love that flamboyancy, and I love the fact that he had that cigarette in the holder. It was
so
all about the facade, it was projected everything.
And then he gets her apartment for one night, and it's really sad. He's one of those characters, he just ruins it for himself. Then he fucks it up. He's one night to himself, and he trashes her house. He kills her cat. and he messes up whatever with the guy who's like, I'm out of here. And it's just like, so
But
tragic. Like, you can't take an
They're
opportunity.
self-destructive,
Absolutely
people.
self-destructive.
Yeah.
But that end scene where he came in a shadow of his former self. I mean, he just looked awful. And when Melissa McCarthy cried, you saw a tear come down her cheek, right? But you didn't see that from Richard E.Grant, and it was that broke me, because I just went, he's still holding it all in, all his emotions. I mean, that scene for me was, I went, right, okay, we're done now. We can finish the film.
And
That's
he
it.
Yeah.
It was the relationship.
Beautiful.
Like, she goes, I was going to trip you up, and he's like, you're a stupid old cunt or whatever.
Yeah.
So good.
What a way to end
And
it.
also, there's something when you hear, because one of the first lines of the film from Melissa McCarthy was "fuck off," wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
But when you hear an American say "fuck off," like they really, she had such venom behind what she was saying. You just go, "Oh, she's completely fucked it all here." But it really affects you when you hear it.
Yeah, 'cause it's not, they don't curse that much in America.
They don't, do they? And it had that from that first scene. I went, "All right, I'm in now."
It was really engaging, and those movies are interesting when they're people you shouldn't root for or want but because they're horrible. They're horrible people, and they're horrible.
No, Richard E.Grant wasn't horrible. She was horrible. He wasn't.
No, I guess, but he was. He was an alienating character. I mean, we're introduced to him as somebody who literally pissed in a closet at a party. He's the kind of guy you probably wouldn't really want to spend too much time with or get to know. Like, and literally, I mean,
you want to get pissed with him,
as you
but you wouldn't
said.
want to hang out with him and have him in your flat.
Yeah, but I think we all know, like, from our youth, we will all know a character like that who, was so much fun and energetic, but then there's nothing else behind that.
But when
you know what I mean? It's very
when everybody
tragic.
leaves the party, that person's just sad and crying by themselves.
Yes, and
you say about rooting for the characters. I don't know if I was rooting for them, but I was just fascinated, and there was such a tragic element to both those characters that I suppose, in a way, I was rooting for them.
I was. When she
Even
didn't
though
get prison time, I was really happy for her.
But in the same way, I didn't want it all to come good. I didn't want everything to sort of have...
No, and you don't want them to get away with it, because... But that's what I liked about it. She literally said the words, "I accept my punishment."
That was a great...
But she also, what I loved about it, she refused to apologize or feel guilty about it. She said, "I'm proud of this, and this is some of the greatest work I've ever done.
Exactly.
I will accept the punishment."
But she did really well, because she then got a best-selling book out of it. So and she didn't go to prison, so it's a win-win for her.
From that desperation of where she was, why she did it, she found something with this. She found a fire in her belly because of that. So she got back to writing what she should be writing about. So the truth. I loved it.
And she gave, well, according to the movie, got Jack's permission for him to be included in the book, which I guess we don't know if that's true or not, because we haven't done no research, but I like that she did that.
Oh, you'd hope it was true, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah.
He was so beautiful at the end. Like, he was actually, his eyes shined so brightly, and he just, like, despite the fact that he was, like, physically withered and, like, he's a really good physical actor, like, he looked really ill, but he was actually shining brighter than he had at any other point in the movie, which is quite something.
Yeah.
I just
But
think
both of them were. There was like a release from both
They
of them.
miss each other, because they have no friends.
Yeah.
Where are we going walking away from the noise here?
The moment you really sort of realise with Richard E. Grant, with Jack, that there was, that it was all sort of for show. I thought it was brilliant when he first goes to her apartment and he says, "I'm just a few blocks from here," and then he goes the opposite direction and lingers, and you just know he has nowhere to go.
Nowhere.
It was
But
kind of implied that he just, like, slept with different men every night for shelter, right? Yeah.
Slept around all of Manhattan.
Yeah.
But he had no base. He had no home. He was
He's so
just.
sweet, because when he got money finally, he took her to a club and, like, bought her drinks and stuff. Like, he was so generous. Remember when he got that $400 for dealing coke or something? And and then he took her out with the money, even though he has no shelter and nowhere to live. And I just thought that was really sweet.
I liked how he got dressed up for those moments as well.
I know.
Suddenly, you know, the hair was combed and he was
also
wearing a suit.
Not to get all technical, but the costume design, I thought, the whole design of the film, I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Here's the street performer. We've
all right.
literally walked into a street performer's act.
There we go, there's a street performer.
He's showing us his arse.
Very sexy.
Nice. Yeah.
It's a good look.
Yeah, I mean, it looked gorgeous, right? And do you think it was well directed? Knowing
Yeah, I
a
thought
lot
it was-
more than we do.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastically directed.
Sorry, we're going through crowds here.
Because
She's young, that director as well, isn't she? She's like in her 20s.
it didn't look directed.
No, she was born in
It
79.
didn't look directed
I know that
at all,
from
did it?
IMDb.
No, it didn't.
It was kind of an effortless story. It didn't patronise the audience in any way. It didn't spoon feed them. I love that.
And it also didn't feel like a nostalgic piece. Do you know what I mean? When often you get things set in the 80s or 90s, it just felt like.
No, but it was very
moment in
definitely
time.
it was very definitely in the early 90s without punctuating it. Like
yeah,
you
but
said.
I like the way it didn't hammer that home. Like
No,
we,
I
You
know.
thought it was the
we didn't have
80s.
the Red Hot Chili Peppers playing on the radio or
it
things
didn't
like
do
that.
that, did it?
Yeah.
And
You would expect with the early 90s.
in the hands of a lesser director, it would have been that. The radio would have been on, and he would have had.
Yeah, and I mean,
oh,
like,
look, the Blow Monkeys are on.
Georgia, the war in Iraq is happening right now.
Yeah.
George H.W.
Yeah.
Bush
I
has
was actually trying to
decided.
timestamp it for ages because I was like, okay, they don't have mobile phones. They've mentioned Nora Ephron, so she's alive. And then in the end it said Jack had died in 1994, so I guessed early 90s. But other than that, I would have thought it could have been the noughties, it could have been 80s. Like, it was
But
quite
it did say
timeless.
at the beginning, Kathy,
I did miss that.
1991.
I completely missed that, as did Dave.
I didn't see that at all.
Dave was in the bathroom when I was settling into my
Jesus,
seat.
guys, come on.
Oh yeah, we did miss that.
We're going to watch a
Dave-
film. We're going to drink it in.
Craig, you went before us. You're more professional.
Bearing in mind, I haven't been to the cinema since before Christmas, so this is my first cinema viewing of 2019.
We go so often we just like skip half the movie. No,
You're doing it a lot better than us. I thought that there was a great soundtrack to it as well. There was like that Pixies track, "Where Is My Gun," which popped up. There were a few other tracks I hadn't heard of, but just like they sort of blended really well into the like it just felt like a really interesting atmosphere and a scene that I don't think anyone's seen before, like that whole sort of literary collector scene. That's something I haven't seen in a film before, and that's what I like in movies, when it shows you a sort of snapshot of a setting and a place and a sort of weird subculture that you don't get to experience.
and it wasn't glamorous because she was really
No.
forging things for like $100.
If anything, it was like profoundly boring. Like, I mean, I would have no interest in that in real life, but they somehow, like, I mean, she brought an element of like danger and excitement to the whole thing. I mean, literally, when you can draw tension from somebody selling a letter to somebody else in a bookstore, I think, you're doing a good job.
But you see, that's what it all comes down to, that film. It's about the characters, and it's about loss and desperation. And that's why we, as an audience, buy into it, because we buy into those characters. Even though we might not like them, that's not the point. It's about that we feel some sort of empathy with what they're going through.
And
And
we're
you
like, she
believe-
really needs that money. Like, she can't afford to bring her cat to the vet or pay her rent. And what did you think of the very end? I loved stylishly again, just at the end when the credits popped up, and then just we got the little like end note on the characters. And
Oh,
it was
I love
typed.
that.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it?
And also, there was a laugh. I can't remember what, but we all laughed at one point.
Oh,
It
it was
was-
that Nora and Ephron sent her a cease and desist
cease
letter.
and desist
Yeah, it was really good.
So
And then
you know for a fact that was true, that
I
happened,
love
which
that.
I loved, because they only did it once. They didn't hammer it home, did they?
I think my favourite scene was the scene of her in the agent's office, and the agent's like, firstly, you're not famous, secondly, you're horrible, thirdly, no one cares what you have to write about, and like fourth, just fuck off out of my office, basically. And Melissa McCarthy's still horrible to her. Like, she is so horrible and she can't contain herself. And like, I'd say as an actress, she just would have loved that role. Like, it must have been so much fun to play someone who's just got those amazing lines that in real life you wish you would have, that you would never ever.
Oh my God, what are we walking into here, lads?
We're into a protest.
Right.
Is this a Brexit protest?
This is going to be a new podcast in about 10 minutes. But I really, really hope that he wins Best Supporting Actor somewhere, because he deserves everything.
And it's a long time
And
coming.
he's never been nominated for anything.
Yeah, I can't believe
and he's
that.
never won anything.
If you asked me, has he been nominated, I probably would have gone, yeah, I presume 2 or 3 times. I don't know
You'd
what
think,
for.
wouldn't you?
Yeah,
You'd
what did you
think.
presume?
But what a roller coaster of a career he's had.
Imagine they both won for such a small movie. It would be so cool. We'll see.
Oh God.
But we better wrap up because otherwise it looks like it might be an actual people who want to leave the EU protest. Because I see a lot of Union Jacks.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just we'll just do a new podcast.
Yeah.
Let's form one
The
right
Brexit
now.
Mile. A short
Actually,
walk to Europe.
My mom did want this podcast to be called the Cathy Mile Special Edition, which really works.
Bless
Really works.
your mum. Lots of love, Cathy's mum.
All right, let's
but
wrap
we
it
better
up.
wrap up.
Craig, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming on.
absolute
Massive pleasure.
I'm
Yeah.
so thankful
Thank
that you had me on. I loved it. It was
And we're
brilliant.
going to do one more shout out. Go subscribe to the Two Shot Podcast.
Oh yeah.
Wherever you're listening to your podcast, you will find it. You're guaranteed to like it.
That's very kind.
Yes, and leave a 5-star review. They're very important, right?
And leave one for us as well. Hey, while
Yeah,
you're
subscribe
there.
to the Cinema.
I mean, hopefully you're already subscribed if you're listening.
We're at the Cinemile, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, all the good
at
places.
Two Shot Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Craig.
Oh, welcome, guys.
Thanks, Craig. We'll see you at the Oscars. We're all going.
With Richard E.Grant.
I can't say that I regret any of my actions. In many ways, this has been the best time of my life.